All right, let's see how you did. So on this slide, this first triangle, it is a right isosceles, okay? It is a right triangle because you have that right angle right there. And it is isosceles, which means two sides are the same because you have 5 feet and 5 feet, okay? So those are the two sides that are congruent. The one over here is called an obtuse scalene. The obtuse angle is right here. Remember, obtuse means it is bigger than 90 degrees. And then it's scalene because none of the sides are the same. All three sides are different. Moving on to this triangle, it is an acute scalene because all three angles are acute. They are all less than 90 degrees. And then it is a scalene because, again, all three side lengths are different lengths. And then on the last one, it is called an acute isosceles because all three angles are acute. They are less than 90 degrees. And then it's isosceles because two sides are the same measurement. The next slide, you just had to complete the hierarchy. So what are the three ways you can classify a triangle by its angle? Acute, and they did not have to be in this order, obtuse, and then right. But you did have to have these three names in these three boxes. It just doesn't have to be in that order. And then side length, you can call a triangle a scalene triangle. No sides are the same. Isosceles, two sides are the same. Or equilateral, all three sides are equal. Okay? Now, the next two you had to classify by the angles. So here are the correct placement of the check marks. I will quickly go over why. So let's start with the right triangle column. As long as you see a right angle, it's going to be a right triangle. So in the three that have the green check marks, you can see the right angle. The two that don't have the right or the green check marks, you can see that this triangle, there is no right angle present. And then on this bottom one, there is no right angle present. Okay? So moving on to acute. Remember, it's an acute triangle if all three angles are acute. So since this first one had a right angle, you can't call it an acute triangle. For the three that have the green check marks, all angles were acute. Okay, sometimes it is really hard to tell. You just have to be really careful. You know it's going to be a right angle if you see the box. Just sometimes it's hard to tell if it's acute or obtuse. Okay, you just got to look really closely. Here on this bottom one, you can tell that this bottom angle was obtuse. That's a bigger opening. It's bigger than a right angle. And then for the obtuse triangles, this last column, there were only two. It's an obtuse triangle if there is one obtuse angle present. So in this first one, this was your obtuse angle. And in the bottom one, this was your obtuse angle. Okay, here's a right angle. So you would call that a right triangle. On this middle one, all three are acute. So that would be an acute triangle. And then on this one, they are all acute as well. So that would be an acute triangle. Next slide, this is the correct placement of the red circles. So quickly going through this, 90 degrees. Right there, I know that it's going to be a right triangle. Okay, I don't even need to look at the other two measurements. This next one, if you noticed, it gave you 4 numbers. So that means it's not even a triangle. That is a 4-sided shape. We don't know what kind of 4-sided shape is. It could be, it's probably a parallelogram, but it's definitely not a triangle. Okay. The next one, all three are less than 90 degrees. So it's an acute. On the next one, you have this one angle that's more than 90 degrees. So that makes it an obtuse triangle. Here is a 90-degree angle. So again, just like this first one, that's going to be a right triangle. Here is a 114-degree angle. So that's going to be an obtuse angle, which makes it an obtuse triangle. And then on the last one, all three are less than 90. So those are all acute angle measurements, which makes it an acute triangle. So hopefully you did okay on classifying them by angles. Now let's classify them by sides. So back to the green check marks. Here's the correct answers. For scalene, this first column, if you look at the congruence marks, they're all different. 1, 2, 3. So that tells you all three sides are different, even though they didn't give you the numbers. So that's scalene. Same thing on this other one that has a green check mark. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a scalene triangle. Here you can tell that, okay, this side has 1, and then both this side and this side have 2. So that's an isosceles triangle. The one down here is going to be an equilateral. I already talked about this one because each side has 1 mark. They all match. Okay, that might be a little confusing at first. I don't know how much experience you have with congruence marks. The middle column, isosceles, the first 3 were isosceles triangles. Both of these sides both have 1 marking. So those 2 sides are equal. On the second triangle, these 2 sides both have 2 marks. So those are the 2 sides that are the same. On this middle triangle, these 2 opposite sides have 2 marks. So those are the 2 sides that are the same. This one would be an equilateral triangle. And then this bottom one would be a scalene because the number of markings are all different. For equilateral, which means all sides are the same, so each side has to have the same number of markings. That's why this one has a green check mark, 1, 1, 1, and then the bottom one, 1, 1, 1. This one right here would be scalene, 1, 2, 3. They're all different. Scalene for this one as well, 1, 2, 3. And then this top one is actually an isosceles because 2 sides have the same markings. The next slide. Actually, the last slide for you with the red circles. So you had to look at the side measurements and see if they're either all going to be different, 2 numbers are going to be the same, or all 3 numbers are going to be the same. So that's what you're looking for. 8, 21, 15. Well, those are all different. So that's a scalene. The next one, also a scalene because all 3 numbers are different. 5, 12, 13 centimeters. The third one, 7, 7, 7. They are all equal, which makes it an equilateral triangle. 2, 2, 5. Okay, well, we got 2 that are the same. So that's an isosceles triangle. Same as the next one, 4 and 4. So 2 sides are the same. That is an isosceles triangle. The next one is not a triangle because they gave you 4 side length measurements. So that is a 4-sided shape. And then the last one, 18, 18, 18, that would be an equilateral triangle because they are all equal. So that completes your lesson for the day. Now you will go and take your exit ticket. Good luck.